Hey guys, Henry here, and I'm going to show you how to make some rabbit white stew. So I shot this rabbit a little while ago, like towards the end of the summer, and I just kind of had it in the freezer, so I figured I'd cook it up and make a little something to take down to camp this weekend. So all I did was just, skin it and gut it and kind of take it apart here. I kind of shot it right here in the middle. Sort of here, right through the saddle pretty much. So I had to kind of trim out a little bit there, so I kind of just broke it off there. But this is, the front quarters. Here's your two front legs, and then obviously your hind quarter, and then your tenderloin here. So I just salt and peppered them up good, and then dusted them with some flour, and then I got a pan of hot oil over here. It's not really all that hot anymore. But I'm just going to throw these in here. And ideally you would want this oil a little bit hotter so that these kind of sear a little bit, but it got too hot and I took it off the heat, and then it cooled down a little bit too much, but you get the idea. So I'm just gonna get these in here like that, and then we'll let them sear up on both sides. And then I'm going to throw some wine and some chicken stock in there and braise them up in the oven for a little bit. And I'm going to use some white wine and chicken stock just because this is going to be a cream-based dish. So normally I'd go with I'd use either like my venison stock or beef stock or something and a red wine, but I kind of want this to be a white dish, so I'm just going to kind of keep everything white. So white wine and light chicken stock, and just roll with the white this time. Okay, so at this point I've got a pretty decent little sear on. Nice little kind of golden brown color. So that's the basic idea. Nice color on there. So you basically just kind of want to brown them up a little bit. And yeah, this is a great step, if you're going to do any type of braised stuff. A lot of people just throw the meat in there and throw the liquid in and throw it right in the oven. But all this nice crusty stuff here, that's all going to break down when you braise, and that's going to give you a lot of nice flavor. So it's a good step to sear it first. So I'm going to throw some white wine in here. I don't have any actual homemade chicken stock, so I'm just going to cheat and use the bouillon stuff mixed with some water. And I just threw some thyme and some bay leaf in there. Get all that in there. I guess I could have mixed that in a little bit better. That's all right. Throw this in. Okay. And I've already got my oven at about 350. So I'm just going to bring this up to temp real quick. And then I'm going to throw it in the oven and let it braise for probably about an hour. And then we'll check it. Basically, you just want to braise until the meat's starting to come off the bone and fall apart. And then I'm going to pick all the meat off, get the bones out of there, and then we'll make our broth separately. But we're going to save all this juice here because that's got all the flavor in it from all the searing. So I'll check back with you guys in about an hour. Okay guys, it's been about an hour, maybe like an hour and 15 minutes. I pulled my meat out of the oven here and just kind of separated them out. This is all the braising liquid, so I'm just going to hang on to that. And then over here I got my veggies going, my mirepoix. And you can really kind of do anything that you want with this. I just did like a real basic, onions, celery, and carrots, traditional mirepoix, but you could throw some peppers in there if you want, or if you want, you could throw some potatoes in there. I'm planning on probably just making some smashed potatoes with this, and kind of serving it over top of that. So I do have potatoes, but I'm gonna just do those up separately. But you can kind of throw whatever you want in there. I don't have any garlic. Normally I'd put a nice glob of minced garlic in here, but I was at the store today and I didn't realize that I didn't have any garlic at home, and I didn't buy any. So I just threw some dry seasoning with some garlic in there, and then just some salt and pepper, and I'm just gonna braise that up, and then or sear that up, kind of sweat it down, and then my meat over here. These are all braised up nice and tender and pretty much falling apart. I could have probably gone a little bit longer, but this will soften up more, you know, when I throw it in there. So what I'm going to do now is just while these are sweating down, I'm going to pick all the meat off the bones here, and we'll discard the bones. Seems how we pretty much got all the flavor off of them anyway. And then we'll kind of bring everything together. So we'll put the braising liquid in here and throw the meat in, and then at that point it'll be pretty much time. I'll probably throw a little roux together too. So once these sweat down a little bit more and I add the liquid, I'll probably throw a little bit of flour in there and just stir it in just to thicken it up. And then we'll be good to add in our cream and let it simmer down for a little bit, and that should pretty much be done. So I'm gonna get picking here, and I'll be back with you guys in a minute. All right, guys, I am back. My veggies are all sweated down. I just tasted one of the carrots, and they're just a little bit, still have a little bit of texture to them, but they're not totally mush. So that's pretty much right where you want to be. Over here, I got all my meat picked out. Just picked it off the bones. And I forgot to mention earlier with the braising process, I just threw everything, I kept everything right in this pan. This is an oven safe pan. You can do it in the casserole dish or whatever too. But I threw it right in the oven at like 375, like 350 to 375 is good braising temperature. But uncovered. You're not really braising if you have a cover on it, because then you're kind of steaming it. So braising is always liquid in the pan, you know, good amount of liquid. You want it like half submerged, but exposed on the top, so open. And part of that is you're kind of getting the best of both worlds with baking, and also you get to have all the juice, you know, keeps the meat nice and moist. So with that, you know, periodically while it's braising in there, you just want to kind of keep moving it around and flipping. I think I flipped them like twice or something in the hour that they were in there. So anyway, that's the braising process, because I kind of didn't really show you guys that. But now we've got all that done. I've got the meat pulled here. And it's really good. It's like nice and tender. I could have probably braised it for a little bit longer to soften up a little bit more, but it's not dry. It's actually really moist and really good. So we're pretty much good. Veggies are ready. Got my roux in there. That's a little bit of flour in there to make the roux. That's going to mix with, you see all that oil on the top. The flour is going to basically kind of soak that oil up, make a nice roux, which will help thicken it, and also will get rid of some of that grease, so we don't have the grease on the top when we're done. So go ahead and throw my meat in there. Got a pretty decent amount of meat out of that one rabbit. Not too bad. So now set that aside. And now I'm going to throw my braising liquid in there. And keep in mind, this has all of our bay leaves and thyme and seasoning and stuff, so we're going to throw that in. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stir this up, bring this back up to temp, let that roux kind of set in a little bit and do its thing. And then we'll be ready to throw some cream in here and maybe a little bit of cornstarch slurry if we need to for a little bit of thickening, and that's going to be it. Okay, guys, we are pretty much done here. So I just I threw in my cream, and then I let that simmer for probably about 5 minutes or so, and kind of let that roux do its thing. And it was good consistency then. If you want it more like a soup, you can leave it a little looser. But I was kind of going for, like I said, I'm gonna instead of putting potatoes in it, I just bought some potatoes today, and I'm taking this down to deer camp this weekend. So my plan is that I'm just gonna boil up some potatoes at camp, and then just kind of mash them up real quick, just smash them with some salt and pepper, and then put that on a plate or in a bowl or whatever, and then serve a nice dollop of this over top of it. So I kind of wanted it to be a little thicker, kind of more on the almost like a gravy side, sausage gravy kind of thickness. So I let the roux do its thing, and then I just hit it with a little teeny tiny bit of cornstarch slurry. Not a lot at all. And if you see, it's a nice thick, almost gravy kind of consistency to it, which is kind of what I was shooting for. Oh man, but the flavor is awesome. I ended up, I didn't really season too much more. I did, I think, 1 crank of a little bit more salt and 2 cranks of pepper. with my pepper and salt mill, and that was just about it. But I mean, the flavor was pretty much right there, because that the broth from the braising had a ton of flavor in it. So normally when you're making something with cream like this, cream is pretty bland by itself. So usually when you're making, you know, a cream-based sauce or a cream-based soup or something, you know, kind of don't be afraid to really get in there with the salt and kind of salt it up pretty good, because cream by itself is usually doesn't have a lot of flavor to it. But in this case, like I said, that braising liquid had a lot of nice, good, you know, rich saltiness, but also had a lot of flavor from the rabbit. So it kind of took on some life there. So it really didn't need too much after that. But this is pretty much it. This is done. I'm gonna go ahead and let this cool down. Then I'm gonna pack it up, and looks like definitely enough for this weekend. I'll probably have some leftovers. But this stuff's great. I mean, you can freeze this and, you know, reuse it, you know, put it in the fridge and whatever. That's actually another advantage of the cornstarch too. I like to put a little cornstarch and stuff that has cream, just because sometimes if you have a cream dish and you freeze it, or even just put it in the fridge and then go to reheat it, your cream, because I used heavy whipping cream, so it's got a lot of fat in it, sometimes your cream can separate a little bit. Or if you're if you put the cream in and you have it on the stove for a long time on high heat and you're waiting for it to thicken up, your cream can kind of destabilize then and start to separate a little bit too. But with the cornstarch, it's kind of like a natural stabilizer, so it actually kind of helps hold your cream together. And if you look up close here, it's not separating at all. I mean, it's nice and emulsified still. So that's kind of what you want. So that's another advantage with the cornstarch too. So even if you don't really need it for the thickening, just a pinch of the slurry can help out with the stabilizing too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I got for you guys today. This is it's gonna be pretty tasty, I think. I just tasted a little bit of it. It's really good, and it feels good, you know. Just you can really make some great meals with wild game. It's awesome meat, you know. It's clean. There's no antibiotics or, you know, hormones or steroids or anything like that. It's the cleanest meat you could eat, and you can really make some great meals with it. So thanks for watching the video, and hope you try this out and let me know how it works out for you. All right, thanks guys.